Good dog!
Good morning. Episode 8.
Wow.
That means 2 months of doing this.
Wow. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So how does that feel?
It went by fast.
Mm-hmm. It really
feel like
does.
they've all been really fun.
Yeah, I feel fortunately that I feel like they're progressively getting better.
Yes.
Which is supposed to be how it goes.
Expected.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're starting to be a little bit more personable and kind of out there, and not that I don't know how to say it. We're definitely not inauthentic. We've been like true to who we are the entire time, but I don't know, just figuring it out and being comfortable, and I mean, cameras pointed in your face and the whole thing that way, but then in the age of social media, like try not to care.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because you, of course, have goals and everything that way, and you don't want to be like fixated on a number of views and everything that way. And then, of course, for me, being picky of how it looks. And,
yeah. I don't know about you, but I haven't really fixated on the views.
I've hardly looked.
I know, honestly, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a part of it. I mean, some of our clips do really well.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, we got to do more.
Yeah.
But we should have recorded a few days ago. But unfortunately, this guy came back a little bit under the weather from Nashville. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it seems like you might be picking it up a little bit now.
The Nashville crud.
Yeah. A lot of shaking of hands. A lot of
conversations.
And because the environment everywhere we were was quite loud, you're kind of talking very close to people, and we're not the only ones, by the sounds of it, that kind of came back feeling a little under the weather, but we're here, and we had a hell of a time.
Oh my gosh, it was a blast.
So I want you to kind of dive into it, because honestly, like, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but not like crazy in depth, and of course, it was kind of in the back of my mind, like, okay, we'll kind of save it for this, and hopefully we can record Monday, and we obviously didn't. So I'd love to hear your insights and opinions and what you thought, because, I mean, we've been to trade shows, but nothing of that magnitude, and neither for me. I mean, that blew Delta completely out of the water, and I know even, like, talking to Wade, he's like, oh, this isn't no game fair, huh? Like, you know? And of course it's not. It's not at all. But it was something else for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I loved it. I think that it automatically gets on our calendar for every year. It's something that we'll continually go back to. I don't think that that's one I would want to miss. But I think everyone was just so eager and happy to be there and so happy to have conversations. It was really nice to just be personable with everybody and get to know so many more people, companies that we've seen online for years, and finally being able to be like, oh, it's nice to meet you. And that's how companies stood out to me, is just being personable. I loved it. I love walking around and having all of those conversations. The trade show itself was in a beautiful location. Don't ever change NWTF, please.
Yeah, I don't think they have in years. I think it's been there
forever,
for a long time.
Yeah. That was really nice. I think it was nice to have everything in one place.
Yeah, so I mean, we were very fortunate, and like shout out to Jalen and Carla and Paige and the girls that and then Jalen's boyfriend or fiance, for actually communicating and talking with you to be like, hey, you going to any trade shows this year?
Yeah.
And it just like coincided that like we're gonna be there and we have an Airbnb with some room.
Well, yeah, we were waiting to do an Airbnb to see how many people were going to crash with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't want to get a little one and then be like, oh crap, so and so wanted to be with us too. So we were waiting. And then when she messaged me, it was like, well, we have room.
Yeah, it was just like it's a no brainer because the amount of money that we saved
Oh,
compared to
oh yeah.
trying to stay in a
And it
hotel.
was
And
so nice to meet them.
yeah, it was a great group to be with. They were super nice and kind, and everybody was real open and personable. And I think by the end of it, everybody's personalities were shining pretty well. And
Yeah, and everybody's been keeping in touch, which is really nice. The Airbnb wasn't really that far.
no, it was closer to downtown than the convention center, which was fine because I feel like every night that's where you ended up anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, the venue, if anybody's been to NWTF, the Opryland is like phenomenal.
Top tier.
And honestly kind of changed my mind even as far as like going forward. Like it could definitely be just a place to stay in the future because I know the exhibitors, the people who have booths, get a pretty decent discount
Yeah.
because they do pay a pretty penny to have a booth. So I think they give them a generous discount to stay there, and a lot of them do. It seems like a good chunk of them do. Where having the resort and everything there, like I feel like it would present an opportunity probably to bring Avery one year
Oh yeah.
or eventually.
That's definitely in my mind.
But then also like having to bring somebody else with, because it is so hard to. I was super appreciative to not necessarily worry about Avery. And it took a little bit because she was having a hard time. I know the people that have kind of been following along, like she was a little bit under the weather to start, but then she came out of it, honestly, like the day we left. She
Which
was
was great.
really great. But then it hit her really quick. And I think this is the first time we've experienced it. Because honestly, she's okay when you leave and go do something for a couple of days. She's okay when I leave for a bit and go do something because she has one of us. But this is the first time in well over a year that we left together for an extended period of time, and I think it finally hit her.
She's starting to realize what missing you is. Before it was
Yeah.
just like, bye mom. Oh, hi mom, you're back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easy. And now she's just like, wait a minute, how many days?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh.
And I feel bad in a sense. Honestly, I feel a bit bad for my mom because she took the brunt of it.
I know she did.
And my mom doesn't have Avery as often. So probably made it a little bit more difficult to the point of like Avery probably just wasn't as comfortable, which she normally is. I mean, she's great with my mom.
Oh,
She
yeah.
loves being up there. She loves to play, especially when Brielle and stuff is around. But so I felt a little bit uncomfortable for my mom
Yeah.
because I know how it could be. I hope she didn't take it the wrong way.
Disheartening, yeah.
Yeah. Because the plan was for her to stay there,
Overnight.
and then go the next day to your ma's. And
Avery was not having it. She just wanted to go to Mimi's, which is my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom worked, and we're like, you gotta wait, honey. Like, Mimi gets off work at 4, and she was struggling. So I called my sister who lives with my mom, and I was like, can Avery come play? And she's like, yeah, Brexley's going crazy today. Bring her over.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
But progressively,
a relief.
I mean, she got better. She struggled a little bit that first day with them, but
I never really thought about this until after the fact. Is like, she was sick for so many days, and then finally she feels better and can play with mom, and then mom leaves. And I'm just like, oh, I did not think about this. I figured she'd just be happy, go lucky. She's like, wait a minute, now we can actually spend time together.
yeah, I mean, she laid around for 2 days before us leaving.
Yeah, and I worked a lot up until we left. So she didn't get much mommy time, and then she feels better, and I'm gone. So, yeah, that's definitely a place that I'll bring Avery and just either bring my mom or, we have some new connections, and they have full-time daycare that travels with them and offered to have Avery in with them, which would be really nice. But when I got there and saw the water slides coming out the side of the resort, I'm like, oh no, Avery would have loved it here. And she would. If she could go and have someone with her and not need to be on the showroom floor for 3 days straight, she would love it. She'd like to go in there and see everything and talk to people and play with the calls and do the whole nine. It would just be too much for her, so we definitely have to bring somebody with us. So yeah, this is kind of funny. We were supposed to have the Airbnb Thursday through Sunday, and at the last minute, we all wanted to add on a night. So Carla messaged us and said, we were able to add on Wednesday. Here's the code.
Yeah, we were the first there.
We'll be there at like 1 o'clock. So we get to the Airbnb, pretty decent little place, which it was kind of like a condo of Airbnbs.
Yeah, so I don't know if they were all Airbnbs or if they're
Like some apartments or something.
I think that's what you get for an apartment, basically a nice apartment, honestly,
Right.
for Nashville. And it was, what was it, like 3 miles outside of downtown, just across the river. So it was honestly really nice, and it was always strange every time we went to downtown. It's like we went in a different way.
It was weird, yeah. But we get there and we go to punch in the code, and all of a sudden someone's like, excuse me. I'm like, oh my gosh. I am so sorry. I thought this was our Airbnb. Well, the cleaner was in because we added the day on so late. She needed to get in there and clean. And so we get in there and she's really kind, starts talking to us, and we tell her we're from Wisconsin. She's like, do you know where Hayward is? I'm like, yes, we've been there all weekend fishing. We have friends from there, the whole nine. She's like, that's my favorite place on earth. So it was just small world. And then speaking of small world, it was really interesting to see how this industry got smaller and smaller as the weekend went on. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone's mutual friends somehow. Everything is connected somehow. And for me, for a long time, I was like, the hunting and fishing industry is huge. But the more you're in it, the more you realize it's so connected. That was really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess if you want to lump fishing into hunting, it's probably pretty large, because I would think by and large
For sure.
fishing's probably more popular. I mean, if you lump in charters and you lump in the deep sea
for
and
sure.
the offshore and bass is giant.
Oh, I know.
So there wasn't, you kind of remove that equation a little bit, even though there's definitely a crossover for sure. I feel like anybody who hunts also fishes.
Yeah.
But that, because NWTF it's a little bit strange. It's obviously a turkey convention, right? I mean, it kicks off this kind of the spring, pushing into turkey season, but there's plenty of waterfowl companies there. There's outfitters. A good bulk of companies that are into turkey hunting are also into waterfowl.
Oh, yeah. Lots of duck and goose calls.
Yeah, I mean, call manufacturers, and then obviously guns and ammo and all that thing, and, camo is a big thing, and then the camo kind of crosses over with
Decoys.
with deer hunting, so there were deer hunting, companies there as well. It seemed like the majority of the well-known saddle companies were
I
there.
was just going to say that I sat in a saddle and I want one bad.
And then, of course, there's some of the personalities that were there that are kind of crossover. So, like, Nick and Michael were there with Bone Collector. Like, honestly, out of the personalities that were there, probably stood out to me the most. But the simple fact that they were there all 3 days, almost all day long, to where, like the guys with Sequin was there. So like Lee himself was there, and like he just had slots. He was there for a decent chunk of the day, but like a couple hours or a few hours a day for like meet and greets.
Yeah.
Where like I think doors open at 9 and they closed at what?
6.
So like long days, and I get it. Because some of the lines would be pretty busy. Like Maggie was around most of the day. She floated around with different brutes and stuff, but like it was really cool to see that, because I know anybody who's into turkey hunting, like Michael Waddell's like he's the turkey guy, one of them. He's definitely up there with the best of them, and it's a big convention for them, and to see them and his dad and Nick there like literally all day long was super cool, because they don't need to. You know, and, you know, for them to just kind of walk in on their own. Like the one morning Nick walked by, we were kind of setting up and I was putting my camera bag down. I'm like, oh shit, Nick. Like remember talking to Nick and Michael, like, I don't know when it was. It was years ago. It might have been like a Green Bay convention or something.
Oh.
Well, Mike's talked about Nick a few times. And I knew Nick was from Minnesota, but like not really from like where. So I just wanted to run up to him and be like, hey, dude, like, I work with Mike and he talks highly of you and his, you know, we've had some conversations about you and some of the stories and just wanted to introduce myself and, you know, just thought it'd be kind of cool to connect that way. And so we sat there and talked for
Yeah.
probably 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You
Super kind.
know? Very, very. And it's just cool because you see them people like typically would have a, you know, a crowd of people around them and they get there early and they kind of make the rounds and they do the
Yeah,
thing
and
before the
they're-
show and their wives were with and but I mean it is like you said the community of it. There was not a single person there for the most part that wouldn't take time to have a conversation with you, wasn't personable. And I'm not talking about the people who had like a line. I'm talking about literally anybody. Like the amount of new friends we met, the people that you just kind of bump into and like, hey dude, where are you from? What's your name? Like,
Yeah, standing in line for food and
yeah, like
sparkling.
they're doing the same thing we are. They're just taking it in and wanting to spend some money. They're like, you know, there was any kind of person under the sun was there.
Yeah. And you know, on that note, it for some reason it takes a lot for me to fangirl. Like for anyone. I really would love to have sit down and talked to Lee with Sequan. He has really brought my love back into archery. And just by watching him online, and I know he's a kind and humble guy, and we watch him all the time. But then the only one that I fangirled over was Maggie Williams. And I just never want to overwhelm anyone. I know they're busy, and we talked about this in the last episode. You know, they're there for a reason. They're busy. They're consumed by it all. The last thing they need is like more people rushing up to them. So, I mean, our mutual friend group was hanging out with Hannah Barron, and I just kind of stood back. I said, hi, how you doing? And that was it. I wasn't going to overwhelm her with phones in her face like some people did.
Which is unfortunate.
Oh, I feel so bad. I really do. I have a heart for people because, I mean, I'll say this straight to her. She's a total badass. She does it all. And she should be able to go to these places and not be over flooded. And it's like she needed a security system, which was her dad.
Yeah, and
But-
boyfriend.
And her boyfriend, yeah. And on that note, Jeff was so sweet. I really, really liked him. He was very kind.
Yeah, so we should.
Do we need to back up?
I feel like we need to throw some context in of first day was kind of just we literally put on about 30,000 steps. Like my feet were toast after the first day already.
I had tears roll down my cheeks like third day. Like, this
well,
is so
because-
painful.
Some of the booths had like thick carpet down and like some
Memory foam padding.
some
It was a
padding
game
down
changer.
and some didn't, but like the majority of the day you're spent walking on cement and
Yeah.
concrete and asphalt and it's just
Well, and I thought I would be okay because I brought my really nice shoes and it did not matter.
yeah, I think and it's also like it's something that we're just not used to.
And you were in your deck boots like the majority of the trip, right?
Yeah, I wore my shin boots, like my little ankle boots for the majority of it. And then the last day I put shoes on and like I barely like tied them. I loosened them up all the way and like just let my feet kind of breathe and it was a lot because I mean you're two giant buildings and then there's some stuff outside and then there was a separate place which I wish I would have checked out was the calling and some
Dog
of
show.
the yep. But so first day we just kind of made the rounds
Check it
and
out.
that's what I figured out very early on, especially with like Delta and some of these trade shows is like just go show face quick. Swing in, see how guys are doing, you know, touch base with people that you do know and just be like, hey, you know, like kind of like a, hey, I'm here.
Yeah,
You know
the
what I mean?
first day
But-
really wasn't for that deep conversation.
No. I think it was just to check out and kind of, you know, make the rounds and see who was there, but then also like bump into people that you do know and like, ooh, there's a company I really want to go talk to, you know, and it's like, go introduce yourself, get out of there. And what was nice is, to be honest, what really helped this time around was having the lanyard.
The names.
Well, the names, but also that kind of signaled that you were there with the show in some fashion, not there for the show. So people that you would walk into a booth and they immediately weren't pressured to try to sell you something,
No, they asked who you with.
which was huge because like Delta, I want to say, so I think Delta, like I bought my way in. Because I just went on my own, wasn't tied with anybody. It's like I had a wristband and nothing else, and it was like, when you go talk to these people and it's like they're trying to sell you something, it's like, well, I'm actually a videographer, photographer, like I just want to swing in and introduce myself and that whole thing. To where that released that conversation immediately.
Yep.
And it was just like, hey, how you doing? How's the
Yeah.
show going for you?
There was no pressure of trying to sell us things.
But then,
Which the majority of the booths were not there pressuring you to buy things. Mm-hmm. Like, they're...
so that's just an interesting conversation that we'll definitely have. Just, but I think to kind of go through the days, of events is we just really took in the show the first day. Mm-hmm. I shot some photos and did that whole thing. All 3 days I did a little bit, shooting some photos. And then the second day we, hung by with the Bluebird booth, like, which was our plan, and put in a pretty solid day's worth of work there with them guys and helped out as much as we could. And, but then we ended up going to the private Sitka party, which is really nice. And then that kind of led to the rest of the night, evening's events. But it kind of kicked off with the Sitka party, which was awesome. I mean, it was free food, it was free drinks,
really good.
really good barbecue, and then everything to kind of sit down and associate. So like anybody who is affiliated, sponsored, or used Sitka, like a lot of them were there. But because it was invite only, it was more so people of the industry, or like you had some connections, like we did. So, like we get there and Chris B is sitting down eating with his crew, which he's another guy on YouTube that's like, again, with Lee and them. I know he's separate, but like another guy that's really relit that fire to want to get back into bow hunting. So it was super cool to see him. And like there was guys like that I really wanted to talk to, but I'm like, there's so much pressure for those guys because they do have
That's how I feel.
they have a giant personality in the sense that like the community that they have around themselves. So it's hard for those people to probably go places, and even though like they're all personable and they would all sit down and have a conversation, I think when they're out and about, they don't want to sit there and be like, yeah, let's talk bow hunting.
I'm sure they're just
What
there
kind
to
of bow
relax.
what kind of bow you shooting? What's this? What that? And you want to talk gear and you want to talk this, and it's just like, it's just nice to just see them mingle and do their thing, and I can respect that, and but then all the way down to just again like, you bump into people at those places that, but then to continue to, foster relationships and stuff with. So like, I think we saw Wade early in the show, but then,
Oh, he's so busy.
oh my God.
I love Wade. Wade, I love you. But you are a busy man.
Yeah, and he loves it.
He does.
He wouldn't have it any other way.
I know he does.
But so like Wade was there, and then he comes in with Luke, and he wanted to introduce us, and I know Luke, and I'm like, I don't know that guy at all. Just so like the camaraderie is there with everybody. You can joke around. You're just free to be yourselves. There's no pressure to not be like, a lot of times you go to different kind of things and events, and you feel like you got to put a guard up a little bit. And,
yeah. It took me a little bit to be like, how do I recognize that guy? Oh yeah, TV. I'm like, how the heck do I recognize this person? And it's like, oh yeah, that TV show. It did take a little bit because I'm like, where did I meet them? Like, you didn't.
Yeah.
Social media.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a transition for me for sure. And yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, and then it's kind of loops into, even like the photography community.
Oh, I know.
How many different people within, my particular industry I got to meet and, start to foster a relationship with and exchange contacts and talk to people that way. And honestly, that's kind of where it kicked off with the first event is all of a sudden we look across the bar and there's Keegan standing. And it's like,
Haven't seen you yet.
haven't seen you, but is your arm around that chick? All right, dude.
He kept it pretty quiet. I was like, no. And you even thought, you're like, that's got to be that other guy's girl. And I'm like, no. Like, I think his arm is around her.
Yeah, and I thought he saw me at some point, and I don't know if he did. So, like, I ran around the bar, and I, like, punched him in the shoulder, and And Keegan is, and he'll be the first one to admit, like, he's terrible with introductions. And I'm like, who's this girl?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And I just like smiled at her. I'm like, hey,
And
who do you belong with?
they've been together for a while.
Yep.
Because Keegan hung around. He'd tell me he was in Kansas City at times for a while. And now it makes sense why. Mm-hmm. Which is great because she's a great girl. I'm so happy that he like has somebody like that, and
like that. It was
she's a little nomad herself. Like she likes to travel and get out and do things, and super personable, and the hunting and fishing and everything she's into. She's a little badass. Like,
yeah,
and
she's into it all.
I mean, another great connection and friendship. I think that's going to build for you. Like you guys are talking all the time and like wanting to make some plans to do some stuff, and so I mean, it's just that's the coolest thing with this, and that's something that like have so appreciated so quickly within changing my career path and doing this is the connections you build and the people all around the world
That you're
essentially.
meeting. Yeah. We can pick so many states and go visit friends.
I mean, from Texas to Alabama to
Pennsylvania
to the, like I got friendly with the
Oregon.
The Pacific guys. Yeah, they're in the West Coast. I think they're Oregon or Washington, California to, I mean, obviously our local states, but like there's really not like a state really where like we know somebody now and so quickly.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's so cool that like that's the cool thing is like personalities and lifestyles are different and where you grow up and I mean the accents and stuff that way, but like when you all come together it's like you guys are like honestly it's like a family and it's great.
I felt comfortable the whole time.
But it's so nice that like that's just that camaraderie is there at all times, no matter who you're talking to, what booth you swing into, like the conversation just flows and it's so natural and it's so easy and it's how many booths did we swing into that we've never heard of the company? And one of the owners comes up and is just like right down to earth right away. Like
that Spur one stood out to me.
Great example. What they were Alabama.
Yeah,
like
and then
southern Alabama.
And then Bow Hunter Dye. They were really, really kind.
Very, very nice. So it's just like it's just, I don't know, to me, I don't know, you feel at home. And there's so much relief for me to feel like I made the right decision.
For sure.
Because there's so much pressure. And it's like, okay, now as a videographer, like what lane do you want to get into? As a photographer, what do you want to do? And it's like, chase your passions in a sense. Like, what do you love to do? Like, what makes, like, what puts that fire in you? Like, what really gets you excited? What really gets you going? And it's like, so why not try to create an opportunity with what you truly love?
Right.
And,
this is an interesting thought in my head is, like Brandon, for instance, is connected with that outfitter. That's
Cap Rock, which another like solid.
So
dude.
nice, yeah.
His entire family was there.
Yeah, it was so nice, and seeing his boy shooting the muleys, and he was great. But I think for a media company to be connected with an outfitter is great. But I also love the freedom that you have. So I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that Brandon or any other media company that's connected runs around and does 8 different types of shots. Like you'll go do anything. You'll do real estate, fishing, turkey, deer, waterfowl, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm also at that stage in my career.
Do you have a goal of wanting to be connected to one thing, or do you like the freedom?
I mean, of course, there's an element of wanting to have some freedom. Because you never know when like an opportunity can knock and like
I think you'll always have some freedom, but I don't know. Is that the goal?
I would love to work with some different brands and stuff, but like I know I'm just at that stage in my career where it's hard to say no. And if I can find some consistent close to home work, and if it's real estate, that's really easy stuff to do. So why not from a financial side of things? Now, is it fun? Is it something that I really want to do? No, of course not. But I think that's an interesting conversation. Like, real estate got my feet wet and really starting to take it professionally and like.
Well, that was the main source of income for a long time.
Yeah, but also like truly learning the ropes. Honestly, like it's such a basic and mundane thing, but like honestly, allowing me to level up and learn more about a camera and a lot about editing. because you're not just going in there and snapping a photo and going away. Like if you do real estate right, you're shooting, a series of photos. You're running aperture priority and you're shooting 4 or 5, depending on lighting, maybe 6 different photos, all at different exposures, and then you're bringing them back and you're merging all those photos together. And it can be a pretty complex process, but like in order to do it right and have really good looking photos and that your room and everything that you're shooting or your house is what it needs to be to, appealing and hit the market and to selling that. And then of course the video walkthroughs and that way if, the budget's there. But I don't know. I have some really cool opportunities to do some outfitter work in this coming year. And now that I just wrapped up that recent video, I think I want to dive into doing some turkey stuff, mixing with the ice fishing stuff that we're doing. But I really should do something with that second day of that snow goose hunt, because we do have a couple months yet of conservation season. Then maybe I can get out and do some more of that. But I don't know. I see some really cool opportunities and some people that do some really cool stuff with some outfitters. Now, do I want to jump around and be working for a ton of them? No, I don't. I'd love to be associated with a couple, and it could be something somewhat consistent. And I think there's some cool opportunities that come with that, but I don't know. I don't really. I've said it early on, like I don't, and it's unfortunate because you kind of come with the territory, but I don't want to just be known as like a content creator. I don't want to be the guy that's just like consistently only producing like 15, 20, 30-second clips.
Yeah.
And I know it comes with the territory because like that's the easy stuff to do. Like
That's what's being pushed.
yeah, it is on socials and stuff that way, but like, I'd love to do a YouTube series with people. I'd love to, like for myself, I'd love to do some short films. I'd love to tell some stories and, you know what I mean? Like tell a story of somebody within maybe the outdoor industry or something about a brand or, like you see some of these really cool ads of, these product releases and stuff. Like they're still telling a story of the places it's been and the things that you can do with it and all those things. Like there's some really cool things to do that way. And I know it takes time and it's going to take me to continue to evolve and to elevate, my craft and my workflow and developing relationships and, fostering all that. But I don't know, there's plenty of opportunities. I'm excited to see where it goes, but, and obviously we just went off on like a 5-minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say
completely different direction again. We're really good at that. But Thursday night, to circle back,
Thursday.
Sitka Party 2, that's when we met Brandon for the first time. Or did we meet him?
We met him at the show.
Oh, that's right. We met him at the show.
And then
So Brandon Snyder, he's got Snyder Media. Like, shout out to him. He does some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Really solid dude. He is, I believe, out of Indiana. I think. Pretty sure. If not, sorry about that. But I think he's actually closer to us than we think. And so he was tied in with Cap Rock. He does all their social media stuff, and they're in southeastern Texas. Really cool group of people. Really, really cool area. Like, you wouldn't really think that area to be, like, heavy waterfall, and they do really well. And so we bumped into him at the Sitka Party as well, and he was actually chatting with Keegan when we bumped into him. And then it kind of came with the whole cartel custom call group, which are East Coast, like New Jersey, New York, somewhere up that way.
Yeah, they were fun.
And solid group of people. And then all of a sudden it's, hey, Riley Green has a party going on at the Duck Blind, which is his bar, which is kind of off more towards Music Row. And it's like, all right, let's go. Well, they're like itching to get an Airbnb or an Uber. And it's like, wait a minute, like I'm DD tonight. We have our own vehicle. Hop in, let's go. So we literally like to the roof
Filled my car.
filled your car and ran down there and somehow basically finagled our way into like a pretty high class
Private party that
Private party.
we did not have wristbands to.
we won't talk about that,
I mean,
but we weren't the only ones.
no,
Okay?
I'm sure.
So this ended up being a It was a private party for Realtree, but then also I want to say Banded and Honey Break were involved because Riley kind of hangs around with that crew. He's involved and hunts a lot down at Honey Break. So anybody who knows that, like, you can kind of imagine and anticipate the kind of people that were there. Like, literally, as we're walking up the place, Micah Wydell and Nick Munt are walking down the stairs. So, like, immediately I knew, like, there's going to be some personalities here. And then that's where, so, like, Keegan was there. And then, but that's where, like, we met Hannah and Jeff.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden I look over and Jeff is cutting off your wristband. Like, he pulls out a pocket knife. And he's, like, sawing on your arm. Super cool dude.
Jeff stayed himself the whole time in his
Yes.
cutoff and
Exactly.
dirty jeans. Like, he was the coolest guy.
Yeah, work boots,
Yep.
jeans, cut off t-shirt.
Yep.
Like, what you see is what
But
you get with him.
honestly, just the sweetest. Every time he saw me after that, he was like, "Hey." So, very
Yeah, I mean,
personable.
honestly, even like reconnected after, like talking on social media, followed us on social media, like
Yeah.
the whole nine, which is super cool because like I don't need to,
No.
but to honestly just be like super personable and like not a problem having a conversation with anybody, and like you saw him the next day and he knew you were who you were, and like just super cool, and like Hannah was great to have some conversations with her, and you know what I mean, like just to be normal, because like you kind of want to you'd fangirl over her, like she is a badass.
I just think she's a badass. Yeah.
You know what I mean, like the hunting and the fishing and everything that
But
she
I
does.
wouldn't
and-
stand in a line for a picture.
No,
I would just admire from afar and know
Yeah.
she's a badass girl, and that's it.
Yeah, and like so, like when you got to meet Maggie, like it was pretty quick too. Like we didn't stand in a line.
I didn't want to.
I think it was just like the
overwhelm her.
right time, right place. We kind of walked to the booth and like, oh, Maggie, hey, how are you?
And Kate, her dog.
Yes, I believe so.
Kate?
Yeah, her golden. Super cool.
Of course.
Yeah, but and then that led to Jason Aldean's after that.
Yeah.
So that was like a 3 a.m.er.
Where we met with the people we were staying at the Airbnb with, so that was nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. All of a sudden, yeah, they're there. No, they showed up at Riley Green's.
Yes, you're right.
Yep.
Totally forgot about that.
So we hung out there for a while, and then that kind of, started to taper out. And then, yeah, we went to Jason Aldean's and kind of expired the night there.
And then we went. Where did we end?
That was it.
No. We went to another one that stayed open longer.
Oh, that's right. So Aldean's was closing down, and we just went to Honky Tonk for
That's what it was, honky tonk.
basically a water. I think it was more so this place is
Yeah.
pretty, like, there's not a lot of people in here. Let's go use the bathroom quick. And then
Yeah.
we kind of, that's right, I forgot about that. We ended up walking out and stuff with Keegan and his girl.
And we got really lucky with parking the entire weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Having our own vehicle, people are like, don't do it, just Uber. But we got really lucky.
Yeah, yeah. I can understand the stresses of that, but then it's also, some of the Ubers can get pretty expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But then, like, not having a parking pass at the convention also was expensive. So I could understand probably staying at the hotel would be a little bit cheaper in a sense of not paying whatever it was, like $35 a day for parking, and then,
The back and forth.
yeah, but I don't know. It wasn't that bad at all.
No.
And it was nice. We talked about before of having our vehicle, of just being able to get in and go.
Not having to wait around.
Yep. And then second day we hung out in the Bluebird booth. Helped those guys out, and then I shot some content and did some stuff there. And then it started to taper off, and that's like when we kind of just went off again, like that. Probably last third of the day, last couple hours, 2-3 hours, and again just kind of mingling and touching base with some people.
Yeah.
And then that third day was kind of just free reign again to do what we want. But second day, what did we do second day? That was the Mossy Oak party.
Oh, yeah, the really nice one.
Which was, it wasn't as private, but it kind of felt that way. You had to buy your way in, but it was like $20, and it went,
Well, they capped it.
Well, I don't know if they capped it or if they definitely like stopped selling tickets at a certain time.
Oh,
But it was like $20. There was some food there which we didn't really know, which whatever, didn't really matter.
it was just some like appetizers and
And
stuff.
then free beer but all the money went to conservation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like $20 for that. Like that's not a problem. You know what I mean? So, which is super nice. That was at Luke Combs, which I think is a pretty new venue.
I think it's brand new.
Category 10, and that place was freaking sweet.
The best one we were in by far.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just so new.
Newer, but like 3 or 4 levels, and like
But
giant place. Like the artist that was singing the country, I don't remember his name.
Park or something.
Pretty talented, really well. Like second year in a row that he's done that event, and
Yeah, that bar was different from the others in Nashville because there was still only one stage on the main floor, and then all 3 or 4 floors just kind of surrounded it. So it was more of like a concert hall feel,
yeah, yeah,
rather than like having a band on each floor and separated.
yeah. Most other places, like you walk in first floor, and there was so like Aldine's, for example. Anybody who hasn't been down there, like live music first floor, but then you went upstairs
DJ.
and there was a DJ that was bumping. And that was more so kind of on the rooftop actually. But then like honestly we just stayed for that party. That was a pretty chill night. I mean, it still got to be about midnight.
It ended at midnight, I think, and then we just went back.
But then, so like we got to hang out.
They gave away some turtle boxes,
Oh yeah, a bunch of different prizes and
Gunner
stuff.
kennels.
Yeah, so if you bought a ticket, I gave you an automatic raffle prize, raffle ticket, and you got thrown in for some really cool prizes of the companies that were involved in that, which
So
was
what was it? Mossy Oak,
Gunner
Turtle Box, Onyx Hunt,
and Gunner.
Yeti.
Yeti, that's right, yep. But then, so again, we kind of hung around with the same crew. Keegan and his girlfriend and
Ben showed up.
Ben showed up because he got the call of like, dude, you should come really check this place out.
Yeah.
So we sat and we chit-chatted a lot with Ben.
And then the guys that we worked in Bluebird booth with were there. Yeah, that was a good group. That was a really nice group to hang out with. Unfortunately, the girls that we stayed with, once they went to go buy tickets, they weren't selling them anymore, so they didn't get in there.
It was too late, and that was a
Yeah.
night, like, we went back, and they were all cozy on the couch already having
Yeah.
pizza. So they didn't stay out too late, and it was kind of that night. You go out so late the night before, you kind of have the opposite the next, and
And
But-
then it... Go ahead.
no, it was just nice that we hung out with Forrest and, feel bad, what was the other kid's name that worked?
Random.
Well, that was because they lost a ticket, and their pass.
They put Random on his pass. Because,
Random Jones?
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, Forrest Hale he's one of the guys that was helping Bluebird, and he's actually got his own little marketing agency and stuff. Does some stuff and helps a lot of other companies out, and he's down in Alabama, I believe. But hung around with those guys, and then Ben showed up, and we literally sat there for a couple hours and kind of chatted with him.
Which is always nice.
Ben is one of my favorites.
Me too.
Absolutely adore the guy.
I'll fangirl over Ben. I love Ben.
Ben's awesome. So Ben Commodore, he's got Cloud9 Outfitters up in Alberta.
Yes.
And if anybody is looking to go to Canada, I cannot recommend him enough.
Yep.
And I know he's a super busy guy, and he probably doesn't have many dates available. But if anybody's looking for next year,
Book it now.
get on the list. Alberta is something else. It's top tier. I mean, the stories he was telling us of, shooting doubles of, ducks and geese, but then also like you're going to go up there and you're going to have an all-inclusive full experience.
Yes.
And you're going to shoot whatever you shoot in the morning, and whatever you don't get, you're going to go back out in the afternoon. And it's not a place like many others where you're going to go out in the morning and that's it. And then figure out what you want to do the rest of the day. If you're a hunter and you want to hunt and you want to get on some birds,
Yep.
Ben does it right.
Yes, he does.
Shells, guns, everything. Bring your camel,
Just
get
get
yourself there. You're good to go. If you don't want to deal with the border and all that stuff that can come with it. And we had some really, really good conversations of some pretty cool opportunities I think I can have next year up there with him. Which we got to have a conversation kind of about and figure out how we want to kind of navigate that and stay in communication with him, because that's another friendship that's like continuing to just foster and grow and evolve, and the success that I'm seeing that he's having and
Yeah,
the goals
he's
and the
amazing.
direction that he's going and what he's chasing is absolutely phenomenal. And again, the right people. Surrounding yourself with the right people, with genuine people, with people that align with your goals and your mindset. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, there's just that you feel in that fire that he's got for it. And he absolutely loves it. And he's a
Yeah,
family man, and,
beautiful family.
and just a love for it. He's all about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience that he's providing is top notch. And I'm excited to get up there.
Yeah, me too.
So
I don't
yeah.
want to be behind a gun though. Yeah.
So we'll definitely make that happen. And then third day was kind of just running and gunning, and that's kind of when deals started to fly.
That's
And
normal.
yep, but we're not gonna. We'll tease a little bit, but we're not gonna say too much. But we got some really cool opportunities,
Yeah.
and excited to see where that goes. And it was one of those things. I'm not that kind of person. We had that conversation a little bit of to really try to like go swindle a deal with every single person that's there.
No.
And I'd rather be personable and just show my face
Mm-hmm.
and get to know me a little bit and like check out my stuff if you want. But if I can go to a show like that and have an opportunity to like potentially get one thing, it's a win.
Oh, for sure.
And to walk away from a show like that of that magnitude to have multiple different, new irons in the pot
Mm-hmm.
is
That's what it's for.
super awesome, and I'm excited for it.
Grateful.
And then again, to honestly, and I said multiple times throughout the weekend, like I probably never would have been there if it wasn't for you to even start.
I know. I'm really thankful that you keep telling that story because you're at the point, well, we're at the point that we've been doing it our entire lives. But the fact that when you meet people or introduce me, you still tell them that I got you into it is a really big deal. And I wouldn't be pursuing what I'm pursuing now without you.
Yeah, so, and that's again, like we kind of had that conversation, I think, last episode of just complimenting each other and being that team and finding that right person to do life with. Like you introduced something into my life that like I took too quick and like just really ran with and fell deeply in love with, and that's duck hunting. And then it inevitably, what was a hobby and kind of just a little fun little thing that I did with, cameras on the side turned into the next evolution of what my life is about. So there's no question that if duck hunting wasn't introduced to my life, which it came from you, like I wouldn't be where I'm at today of, you know, maybe would I have a camera in my hand, but like thinking about doing anything like this probably wouldn't have ever crossed my mind. But now that gave me an opportunity to do this, and now like it's giving you an opportunity as well. So it's kind of coming full circle, and complementing each other and helping each other out. And it's just and it's going to take some time. It's going to be a lot of learning still. There's going to be a lot of growth. There's going to be a lot of changes, and it's all exciting things.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with any of it, and just super fortunate.
Yeah, I do feel it. Really grateful.
So we have, like this week we got a meeting right away, of some really cool things, and again, it's just like, to be honest, like one deal out of a weekend, like could make a year, could make a
Years.
career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is great, and that's what it's about. And I'm extremely happy that like we've just stayed true to who we are.
Yeah.
We've never really strayed from our path. Like we're not. What you see is what you get.
That's what I always say though, is like I'm just doing what I love and that's that. I'm going to stay authentic. I think I'm authentic through and through. I don't know. I'm not going to go down the route of
Yeah, because
doing it for the wrong reasons.
unfortunately, you do, and in this past weekend, like we did see a little bit of that.
Of course.
Of,
You're gonna have that.
You know, what you see on social media and what you see in person is just like, oh, okay, I get it. And that sucks.
Unfortunately, it does.
And that sucks. And then you hear horror stories and you start talking to people in the industry and, you know, like them conversations just kind of flow. And then, you know, we'll be sitting in a booth talking with somebody and somebody walks by and like you can see their face
Like,
expression
ooh,
change. And it's
yeah.
just like, what's that about? You know, and it's not that you're like nosy or like you want to be rude or anything, but like, you know, you just kind of get the vibe, you know, and you don't really ask questions, but it's just like,
Well,
you know, that
you know,
sucks.
we don't know a lot of the dirt of this industry.
And there isn't any,
I,
unfortunately.
I would hope not, but I feel like there's not a lot.
No, because like I said, 99.9% of the people that you cross face with are down to earth, sit down and have a conversation,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just, you know, and that's why, like I said earlier, like you do feel at home.
Yeah. I feel like even the companies that could compete are still real friendly and supportive. You know, you see a lot of that, but
Yeah. There's a few brands out there that I kind of scratch my head at and just kind of ponder and wonder if like, you know, the direction they're going and what their thought processes are. And like, I don't know much about them or like, but again, looking from the outside in, it's just like, that's not really a company I would want to probably purchase anything from, but then also like even entertain a conversation I want to do some work for.
no. Thinking of one in particular that we really didn't have the desire to have a conversation with at all.
And that's okay. Because there's people out there that do
Oh,
that
yeah.
will in a heartbeat, and it's just, you know, and that's not saying anything bad. That's not talking down. That's not, you know, and to be honest, we're relatively fresh within the industry, but also like we have a lot of connections and super fortunate, and a lot of those connections came with just dipping our toes in from a consumer standpoint for years.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of transitioned more into a, you know, a professional career for me, and now it's getting to be a little bit more for you. And I don't know, it's just it's a part of the game,
Yeah.
you know, and you don't want to necessarily look at it as a
I
quote
was
unquote
going to say,
game,
I'm like, I
but
don't know if I like that word, but
you know, it's a part of it.
part of progressing in this.
Yep, and you know, you see it, and you hear the stories, and even
Yeah.
some of the mutual friends that we have, it's like, you know, you hear that they leave a company, and it's like, why? And then they start talking about why, and it's like, okay, that makes sense.
For sure. Time is it?
6:56.
I'm surprised, actually. I figured she was going to let us get 20 minutes into this thing.
I know.
We said at the beginning that there might need to be a Nashville part 2 podcast.
Yeah, because like third day we went to a little hole in the wall restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Do you
We're going to have
do you want to wrap up or do you want to go see a show?
give us a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I can try.
Okay. Just a little interruption.
Interruption as our baby woke up, and then all of a sudden our
Good timing.
dogs. Yes, it was.
It's good timing.
It was good timing. Our dog started barking. We're like, who the heck is here? And then I totally forgot
Yep.
that your cousin Missy was coming to get Dizzy to groom her today. So,
Yep. What she needs. So,
oh my gosh, yes.
but I don't really remember where
We're
we were.
talking about day 3.
Yeah. But yeah, we little hole in the wall place that we went and had a really nice dinner. Which was super cool. That was another like shout out to Ben for the recommendation because it was really good.
Little hole in the wall place. But it was very good.
Yeah, he had said that somebody went last year and got a reservation and sat down and like Carrie Underwood was in there eating.
Yeah.
But like just a tiny little place, but pretty classy, really,
Yeah.
really nice. Really quick service, free valet parking.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that at the end of every meal, she asked if you wanted coffee to everyone. And I was like, what is that about?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody would know like if
Is
what
that a
that's
thing?
about. But maybe it's like a little pick me up, pep in a step, some caffeine kind of deal. Like knowing that you're gonna probably go out on the town after it, or like I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then she's like, do you want a coffee cup that's empty? And she like looks at my old fashioned. I was like, it sounds like you're from Wisconsin now.
It's like, well, it might be a little bit illegal,
No, we're okay.
but yeah, that was really really nice. And then we went back to the scoreboard and hung out there for a couple
was a
hours.
nice
And
place,
that
too.
was yeah. So another like venue close to just really right across from where the convention center was.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a couple little bars that like most brands or people held a little shindig kind of deal after,
Mm-hmm.
which there was what, two or three of them there, so they were pretty close. So it kind of like had to run all the way back, like 15 minutes or so back the other direction. But so just honestly ran back there because Keegan and his girl were there and met some more people and got to introduce myself some more, and that kind of just ended things. We were back by what?
6:30 on.
No, it
Oh,
was
sorry.
what, we have dinner at 7-ish, right? So you're probably back by 10:30, 11.
Sorry, I was thinking about back home, but yeah.
Oh, and then yeah, we were up and on the road by 6.
Mm-hmm. Home by 6:30, which I was surprised we only lost like a half hour considering we got groceries because our ride was not good.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that.
Whew.
So there was some pretty nasty weather that hit kind of middle America.
One, they don't have snow tires. Two, they don't know how to drive. There was accidents like every mile. Somebody
Yeah.
was in the pickers.
Yeah, we talked about that actually with that guy from Spur. Like I said that I was down doing some stuff. And that second pretty big cold snap they got, like he said that the beaches in Alabama had snow on them, like right up to the ocean.
That's
He
crazy.
said that he's like, I've never seen it, and he's like, when the south gets an inch of snow, like they shut down, people panic, they don't know what to do, and like the majority of the south got like 6-7 inches of snow,
That's
and
insane.
like all the way down to the coast got like a dusting or an inch, and like it took a while, like a couple days for it to melt, and like it was insane, but there was some pretty nasty weather that rolled in to the, it kind of stayed north, I believe Saturday is when a lot of it started,
Yeah.
because that's when they got the snow up here, right?
Yep.
And it trickled down and kind of hovered around like that Kentucky just north of Nashville, and then Saturday, no, that would have been Friday. Saturday was the last day of the convention, so it was supposed to like rain all day long. And we were like right on the border of rain and snow
Yep.
in Nashville there. And if anybody does pay attention or sees anything in the news and that, but like Kentucky got it really bad.
Yeah. Severe flooding.
The flooding and stuff, to the point where like we're an hour and a half or 2 hours into our drive, and all of a sudden like the route completely changes to what we had left of like a 9-hour run turned into like a 16. And I'm like, what? Like I pointed at the screen, you were talking to your mom, and I'm like, and I look and like Apple Maps like show that the interstate shut down.
We had to
Due
like
to
turn
flooding.
around and go all the way around.
Basically all the way back to Nashville, and then up to like Paducah, and then through like the middle of Illinois, to where like we were going straight up to Indy and then up through Chicago.
That was stressful.
And I'm like, I open up Google Maps and I punch it in, and like nothing changed. And I'm like, we're just gonna go, and worst case,
You stay
I
somewhere.
will drive, and we'll just piggyback back roads and try to get around what we need to, or if we need to stay somewhere, we'll stay somewhere.
Yep. You said like you're off Monday, right? I'm like, oh, I don't want to
No,
stay.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, like it was good, but it was
But then
the conditions even then weren't great, because we drove through
no,
snow a good portion of it, and the flooding was bad, and I guess it was like
scary.
twice as worse in like eastern Kentucky, where like the bulk of
That
it
was scary. Like the flooding was literally right to almost the like white lines on the freeway. It was so close to flooding over. Yeah, that was really scary. And then we had joked with friends like next year we are flying.
And
And then they struggled. Like so many delays. It took people days to get home. And I'm like, okay, maybe we will drive, but everyone had a hassle going home.
yeah, I mean,
Everything was
Jalen
delayed.
like stayed in
2
the hotel.
days?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was. Well, I think she got a hotel, but like, yeah, she was trapped. She ended up going to New York, right?
Emergency landing in New York.
Keegan had a big deal layover.
So did Georgia.
Georgia got back late. Yeah, it was just strange that, but then there were some people that got out no problem. Like Ben, all of a sudden, like,
He was home way before.
yeah, before we were. And he went up to Calgary, and there were people that I knew that like flew, I think, into Chicago. I want to say that seemed to be okay. Like I saw Maggie Joe was fine. She got back. But yeah, it was just strange. So, I mean, it's just the timing of the year. You don't know what you're going to get for weather. To where you'd think leaving Wisconsin, it was like single digits in frigid temperatures here, that we would go down south and be able to experience a little bit of warm weather for a little bit. And
Yeah.
that first day was brutal.
Yes, it
Like
was.
when we went out and we stayed out late, it was cold. And then honestly, Saturday night was the best night. It was like 65 degrees and it was supposed to be raining and it really wasn't. And it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. I wished it was like that the whole time.
But yeah, that kind of
I think that kind of wraps up Nashville.
Nashville. We have some really cool things. Going to be some interesting conversations in the coming weeks. And, I think next year again, and I think I touched on it before, just being stressed lately of work and not feeling like I have enough, and things have been kind of slow. And I know it kind of comes with the territory, but I think I've got out enough. It's funny because I had conversations with plenty of people that they don't do what I do full time. They have a full time job as well as doing the camera stuff as a little side income kind of a deal. To where I quite literally jumped in head first
Yeah.
and am like banking on this,
Yeah.
which is scary, but then also kind of looking at the connections I have, the places I've been able to go, the places that I'm going, the things that I do have planned. It's like,
It'll all come together.
You fingers crossed, and you keeping your prayers up that it pays off. And I think it is. I mean, I think what I just did for the tribe turned out really good.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm hoping they'll push it, but I think I might have to ask them if I can put it out myself as well.
Yeah.
And maybe break it up into like 3 parts or something.
Yeah.
Is she down there?
Yep. Mom.
Yeah, she's trying to be quiet now. But yeah, we will wrap things up. Episode 8.
We have a lot more to talk about, but
Episode 8 of the Trophy Life. And yeah, so we're 2 months into this. We don't plan on stopping.
subscribe, share, like, comment.
Do all the things.
All the things.
All the things. We got to make a shirt with that.
I want to make that a shirt. That's my gig.
Because you said it like first episode when we were kind of introducing ourselves, like what we're into. We're like
all the things.
Be kind of a cool shirt. You could have like a fish and a deer and a duck. And
all the things.
All the
turkey.
Things. Turkey. Yeah, we got turkey next.
Turkey coming up.
So I have a bunch of turkey footage from last year.
I can't wait.
That I didn't do anything with.
Let's do it.
So I should go through that kind of stuff in the coming weeks and start pumping out some stuff there. We still have some ice fishing to do.
Yep.
We really don't have much on the books.
No, I'm happy about that.
No, but it also makes me like we should make some plans.
Yeah, our little girl's birthday.
Yeah, so maybe we can go do something fun with her on a weekend or something. Like I know we talked about going down to the Dells or something. We might have some more trade shows on the books. We don't really know yet.
Yep.
We'll have to look at the dates and see if that's something we want to try to do or not. We should probably try to get on the ice a little bit more. I think we'll have a good late bite this year.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Ice conditions, but I know like the bulk of our ice fishing friends are going way north. Bummer. Maybe we'll go do that some year. But yeah, I don't know. We should reach out to some people and we should make some plans to do something soon though.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little easier now that we're not so jam-packed.
Yeah, we have some time, but I know we wanted to go do cosmic clays at some point too, so maybe we can go over and do that, and
yeah,
maybe go to a pheasant farm or something.
Yeah.
We did that a little bit last year. It'd be fun to go do as well.
Yeah, for sure. We need to get back over there.
But hopefully weather starts getting nice. We're supposed to be getting into the 40s this coming week.
Yeah.
So we can get our little pup out in the snow and get her running a little bit more, because with this weather, it's been really hard. And I got her out a couple times the other week, and she loved it, and you could tell she missed it. So
yeah,
that's something we need to get back into being consistent again with. It's just so hard in the winter when it gets this cold.
It is.
Last year would have been great, but
yeah.
And we did. We worked her a fair bit through winter, but like this year, it's just been either snow or super cold, you know?
Yep, we have a lot to do.
But I don't know. I feel like we're spitting and sputtering out of this one.
That's all right. We can do that.
So
until next time.
Until next time.
Everyone have a good week.
Mm-hmm.
Stay warm. Get outside.
Yep, it's supposed to be nice. So we should get on the boards. Let's do some snowboarding in the next couple weeks.
Yes, we have time now.
Yeah, we
Okay.
haven't done that in a while.
All right.
I want to break a leg. So,
Oh, careful. All right.
crack my head. But,
Love you.
Love you.